You may have heard of the Book of Enoch. Perhaps someone mentioned it during a conversation about the Bible. Perhaps you saw its name beneath a video about fallen angels, giants, or the days of Noah. Or perhaps this is the first time you have ever heard of it. Either way, the moment you begin investigating this ancient book, one question rises above all the others. Why isn't the Book of Enoch found in most Bibles? At first, that may sound like a simple question. Perhaps it was merely another ancient book that disappeared. Perhaps it was written too late. Perhaps no one considered it important. But then you begin discovering details that make the question much harder to dismiss. A prophecy associated with Enoch appears to be quoted directly in the New Testament, not merely a similar idea, not simply a shared image. The letter of Jude refers specifically to Enoch, the seventh generation from Adam, and presents a prophecy that closely resembles words preserved in the book known today as First Enoch. That alone makes people stop and wonder, how can a book be quoted by a New Testament writer and yet remain outside the Bible used by most Christians? Then the mystery becomes deeper. Some early Christians knew about Enochic writings. Some read them. Some referred to their stories and ideas while discussing angels, judgment, evil spirits, and the mysterious events preceding the flood. At least one influential early Christian writer defended the book and believed it deserved serious respect. Yet many other Christians did not accept it as scripture. So the controversy surrounding Enoch did not begin on the internet. It reaches far back into the earliest centuries of Christianity. And then there is the content of the book itself. It tells of heavenly beings who abandon their appointed place and descend to the earth. It describes forbidden unions, mysterious giants, spreading violence, hidden knowledge, heavenly prisons, coming judgment, and a world moving rapidly toward destruction. It also presents Enoch traveling beyond the boundaries of ordinary human experience, seeing places of punishment, storehouses of creation, angelic powers, and the throne of divine glory. This is not an ordinary religious manuscript. Its story stretches from earth to heaven, and from the days before Noah to the final judgment of the world. The Book of Enoch emerged from the same broad ancient Jewish world that read the Torah, studied the prophets, interpreted the story of creation, and wrestled with the origins of evil. Fragments of Enochic writings would eventually be found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. Its ideas circulated before and around the time when Christianity began. Its complete form survived because generations of Ethiopian Christians continued preserving it long after it had disappeared from many other parts of the Christian world. And even today, Ethiopian and Eritrean Orthodox Christians recognize it as part of their biblical tradition. Most other Christians do not. So what actually happened? Was the Book of Enoch hidden? Was it once part of everyone's Bible and later removed? Did powerful religious leaders reject it because its visions were too controversial? Or was it never accepted as scripture by most Jewish and Christian communities in the first place? The true story is more complicated than either side usually admits. Online discussions often reduce the mystery to a dramatic claim. The church removed Enoch from the Bible. It sounds powerful, it sounds secretive, and it gives the story an obvious villain. But before accepting that explanation, we must ask a more basic question. Was there ever one moment when every Jewish community and every Christian church shared exactly the same collection of sacred books, including Enoch? Because a book cannot simply be removed from everyone's Bible if it was never universally present in everyone's Bible to begin with. The Bible did not arrive in history as one leather-bound volume containing a printed table of contents. Its books emerged across centuries. They were written, copied, translated, read in worship, debated, preserved, and passed between communities. Different Jewish and Christian traditions did not always preserve precisely the same collections. Some books gained extraordinarily broad recognition. Others were valued in certain regions but questioned elsewhere. Some were read for instruction without being treated as scripture. And a few, like Enoch, followed a path unlike almost any other ancient religious writing. That is why the real question is not merely who removed the Book of Enoch. The better questions are, what exactly is this book? Who wrote it? How ancient is it? Who considered it authoritative? Why did one major Christian tradition preserve it as scripture while most others did not? And what does its appearance within the New Testament world actually mean? By the end of this episode, you will understand who the biblical Enoch was. You will discover what the Book of Enoch contains, and whether Enoch himself could realistically have written it. We will follow the book's journey through ancient Judaism, the Dead Sea Scrolls, early Christianity, and the monasteries of Ethiopia. We will examine why Ethiopian Christians include it in their Bible. We will investigate why most other churches do not. We will ask whether Jesus ever quoted it. We will look closely at Jude's unmistakable connection to it. And finally, we will consider what Christians should and should not do with the Book of Enoch today. Because Enoch is not merely a story about a missing book, it is a window into the ancient world surrounding the Bible. It reveals how some Jewish communities understood angels, evil, judgment, death, heavenly mysteries, and the strange events of Genesis chapter 6. And whether you ultimately regard Enoch as scripture, ancient history, theological literature, or something else entirely, its influence cannot be understood by simply pretending that it never existed. If you enjoy exploring biblical history, ancient writings, and the mysteries surrounding Scripture, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who loves the Bible. We are journeying through Scripture and the fascinating writings surrounding it, one book at a time. And stay until the end, because when we compare Enoch with the New Testament, the answer will be both more convincing and more complicated than the popular explanations suggest. But before we can understand the Book of Enoch, we must begin with the man whose name it carries. And strangely, the Bible itself tells us very little about him. Enoch appears near the beginning of Genesis, within a long genealogy connecting Adam to Noah. The chapter records one generation after another. A man is born, he has children, he lives for many years, and then he dies. But then Genesis reaches Enoch, and suddenly the pattern changes. Enoch was descended from Adam through Adam's son Seth. His father was Jared. His son was Methuselah, who would become famous in Scripture for his extraordinarily long life. And Enoch stood seventh in the genealogical line from Adam. Genesis says that Enoch lived 65 years and then became the father of Methuselah. After that, it gives him a description unlike almost anyone else in the genealogy. It says, Enoch walked with God. The expression is simple, but extraordinarily intimate. Genesis does not say only that he believed God existed. It does not merely say that he performed a great public act. It says he walked with God. It presents the picture of a life lived in continuing fellowship, faithfulness, and nearness to the Creator. Then, after saying that Enoch lived 365 years, Genesis does something unexpected. It does not conclude his life with the words used for the others. It does not say, and Enoch died. Instead, Genesis says, Enoch walked with God. Then he was no more, because God took him. The text offers no further explanation. It does not tell us where he went. It does not describe what he saw. It does not record a farewell. One moment, Enoch is walking with God. Then he is gone. Imagine hearing that story in the ancient world. What does it mean that God took him? Did Enoch enter heaven? Did he escape death? Did God reveal secrets to him before taking him away? What kind of man becomes so closely associated with heaven that Scripture records his departure without recording his death? Genesis creates the mystery, but does not solve it. And into that silence, generations of ancient readers began asking questions. Over time, stories and traditions grew around the brief biblical account. Enoch came to be remembered not only as the man who walked with God, but as a recipient of heavenly knowledge, a prophet, a righteous scribe, a witness against evil, a traveler permitted to see realms hidden from ordinary humanity, and a messenger entrusted with warnings for both human beings and rebellious angels. The few mysterious words in Genesis became the foundation for an enormous world of visions. The New Testament preserves the mystery as well. Hebrews says that by faith, Enoch was taken so that he would not experience death. It says he could not be found because God had taken him. And before his departure, he had received the testimony that he pleased God. Again, Enoch is remembered as a man whose relationship with God somehow interrupted the normal conclusion of human life. But Hebrews still does not provide the elaborate heavenly journeys found in the Book of Enoch. Those details come from somewhere else. This distinction is essential. The Enoch described in Genesis is a biblical person. The Book of Enoch is a much larger collection of ancient writings attributed to him. Those are related, but they are not automatically the same thing. Genesis gives us only a few lines. First Enoch gives us more than 100 chapters. Genesis says Enoch walked with God and was taken. First Enoch presents him traveling through heaven, witnessing cosmic secrets, confronting fallen angels, and announcing judgment over the earth. So how did the brief Enoch of Genesis become the visionary Enoch of this enormous ancient book? To answer that, we must finally open the book itself. And the first surprise is that the Book of Enoch is not really one simple book written from beginning to end by one author. It is a collection, a library of visions, warnings, heavenly journeys, calendars, symbolic histories, and prophecies gathered under the authority of Enoch's name. Its pages were formed across different periods. Its sections do not all sound the same. And behind the single title are several remarkable works, each attempting to reveal mysteries concealed from the ordinary human world. There is the Book of the Watchers, the story of angels who descended to earth and unleashed corruption. There is the Book of Parables, with visions of judgment and a mysterious figure called the Son of Man. There is the Astronomical Book, describing the movements of the sun, moon, stars, seasons, and heavenly calendar. There are the Dream Visions, retelling history through dramatic symbols and animals. And there is the Epistle of Enoch, a final collection of warnings, encouragements, judgment, and hope. Together, they form the work most people mean when they speak about the Book of Enoch. But did the Enoch who lived before the flood personally write all of this? The book presents its revelations through his voice. Yet most modern scholars understand First Enoch as a collection produced and developed by multiple Jewish authors over a long period, many centuries after the lifetime assigned to Enoch in Genesis. In other words, the book is attributed to Enoch because he functions as its ancient visionary and authoritative speaker. That does not mean historians believe a manuscript written before Noah survived the flood and was copied unchanged into the modern world. And that brings us to the next stage of the investigation. If Enoch himself did not physically compose the entire collection, then who did? When did these writings appear? How widely were they known? And how do we know that the Book of Enoch is genuinely ancient rather than a later medieval invention? The trail will lead us from Jewish communities before the time of Jesus to caves beside the Dead Sea, and finally to the highlands of Ethiopia, where the complete book survived when much of the world had lost it. That is where our investigation continues.